and I'm the CIA Paris director. So I have this wonderful mission tonight to get you excited and motivated to study abroad with us next summer in Paris. And I'm also really privileged that Robin Berger agreed to also spend some time with us today because she's the best person to talk about this program because she just did it last summer. Robin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Robin. I'm a freshman in college right now, and I did the program last year when I was a senior in high school. But I actually applied to go junior year summer, but because of COVID, it got moved. But yeah, and I had a really good experience and very open to answer any questions that you guys have. And I took lots of pictures, have lots of accounts of it. So if you guys have any questions, I could definitely answer.
Not to mention how you improved your French, but let's talk about that later. So
oh yeah, we'll talk about that too.
To frame the conversation, I'm going to go to the slides presentation. So my name is Jean-Philippe Primouth. I'm about to turn 40 next year. Born in France, lived in France for most of my life in different parts of the country, also a bit in Germany since I've been raised by a military. But I lived in Paris for more than 13 years, and I worked for CE for 13 years. So clearly my introduction to Paris was through CIE, and that's just a wonderful way to discover a city when you are in charge of cultural programs that take students all over the city. So I became director 2 years ago. It was, before the COVID. It was at the time of a huge strike. So you can be sure that I know how to react in time of crisis, but hopefully those crises will be behind us soon and we'll be able to work properly in the City of Light. How to really, summarize the country in such a little time, but clearly what you can expect from France, the stereotypes that are usually associated with this country, it's clearly the food. And yes, it's a disappointment. We are not protected. The French food is not protected, but the way French people eat is actually protected by UNESCO now, because this is really about a social practice. It's a family time that you spend with your loved one. You are going to start with the starter, the main course, some cheese, some dessert. So clearly one of the things that students need time to adapt, it's to remain at a family table for sometimes more than 1 hour during, especially during the weekend and sometimes during the week. The food is good. In Paris, you have food from all over the world, and if you're vegan and vegetarian, also you have plenty of places. Maybe not as much as in the US, but still it's something where France is improving a lot. The language is also really exciting, I think, because by studying French, you get to some skills that will help you to travel in a lot of different parts of the world. So clearly, we need to speak more languages. I myself want to learn more languages, and French. If you don't know which language to pick, I think it's a really great option, especially if you want to travel and work maybe in humanitarian all over the world. History of the country is also interesting. And Paris, you'll see, is a place where we've been quite conservative and you have a lot of remains. So just by having a morning walk, you are going to see a lot of historical places. And to end, we are going to start talking about the people of France, the French people, and you will be surprised that people are not as rude as a cliché, saying that we are. Again, Robin will maybe comment on that, but you will be surprised by the French hospitality. People are really friendly. And yes, it's not great for an immersive program, but you'll see that a lot of people now can interact in English. Is that correct, Robin?
I would definitely say so. There's a stereotype that people will be mad at you for trying to speak French, or that they'll be annoyed or maybe not so friendly. But I found that a lot of French people are actually really grateful that you're trying to learn their language and really patient with you when you try to speak with them. So no matter really what your language level is, you'll find people who are willing to like let you practice in the real world and like order food at a restaurant or just talk on the street and stuff like that.
Merci. Hopla. Okay, Paris, again, food. It's an obsession with me. I like to talk about food. When I eat food, it's a big component of my life. And yes, you will see that Paris, especially because it's a capital city, it has many different places. And if you travel with CIE Paris, if you're part of the high school program, you will see that you will have all your meals included, knowing that you will spend evenings and weekends with your host family. And during the day, we will partner with a boulangerie. Remember, Robin, it was with Paul, right, last summer, and Monoprix also, so that you could have like more different options. And so all your meals will be included, and you will be able to use your pocket money to complete this with, great occasion to try all the different pastries that you will find in Paris. History and culture, Paris has so many museums. And Robin will say, maybe we had too many museums last summer, so we are going to digress a bit the different cultural activity, but I'm a really big fan of history, and just taking students to the different museums that the city has to offer, for me, it's a privilege, but we'll be more interactive, and we'll adapt to what the previous students told us about. And you will experience also, and that's, I think, a really, really important thing to keep in mind, you will experience the life of a really big city. And even though it's not as big in terms of size, as American city, because you can still, navigate. If you're really, really, motivated, you can walk in Paris and, go from one side to another in maybe 2 hours. Or if you bike also, it's a really city-friendly, a really bike-friendly city now. But you will see it's still, compared to the other French city, big capital. So you will take the daily grids, metro, using the metro, going to study, boulot, going to work, and then you will come home and sleep because it's going to be exhausting days. And the city is great in a way that it has a really, really efficient metro public service. So Robin, do you want to talk about your metro experience?
So I'm from New Jersey, and there's a New Jersey public metro that is horrendous. And I'm really familiar with the New York City public metro and subway system. So if you're familiar with those at all and you found them challenging, don't worry, you're not alone. The Paris metro is so much more simple and easier to navigate. Even as a kind of first timer, having never used the Paris metro before, I got to know it super quickly. And you guys actually provided a metro card for us to use, which was super helpful.
Same with food. The metro pass is completely included in your program.
Yeah, so and that free metro ride allows you to really explore the city and be very independent. You guys, if you should do the program, you have free time every day after class to do what you want and explore the city. And that is really helpful with the metro because the metro is super easy and very simple to navigate. And it's also very clean. It's a lot cleaner than New York City metros, and it's a lot safer too, I would say. Yeah.
I agree.
Though it's not perfectly safe.
Yes, but again, the concept of safety is something that we'll discuss on site or even before with anyone who are, anxious about this. But we do have a full support, and we'll give you all the different instruction. And when it comes to taking the metro, I would say yes, it's really safe during the day. At night, when people are coming back home, after partying and so on, it's not as safe as it is during the day. But as you know, Robin, we have also some rules with CIE, and you have to go back to your host family at a certain time of the day. And so we don't have any high school students out during the night in Paris. So the safety in the metro is quite good during the day. And when it's not as perfect as it is during the day, clearly you're home with your homestay.
Exactly. And something I found really helpful is that a lot of the times we're paired with a roommate. So you guys, if you're paired with a roommate, will get to do that together. So navigate to school together, navigate to your trips together. And so you'll never really feel like you're alone on the metro, and your host family will probably extend their phone number to you so that you can reach out to them if you have any questions. And I mean, Jean-Philippe will always be there if you ever have any questions, or other people, other supervisors. So you should never feel like you're alone, though you are very independent.
You are surrounded by a group leader, by the CI staff, by a host, and also, even though you might not stay with direct roommate, because sometimes we've got housing with a single bed, sometimes it's a twin bed, sometimes it's two separate rooms. That's really up to the way you fill out the form of what we have to offer. But we usually place students in certain neighborhoods, so you will always have someone who lives next to you, and we'll make sure that you can be in contact as soon as the program starts. So what's a summer program abroad? So your typical week includes 15 hours of French. Then you have lunch break. After lunch break, you have this community conversation. It's called Ose le français, Dare to Speak French, and we'll try to place you in situation where you can speak and interact with French. Sometimes that we couldn't really do during the COVID, we adapted the program so that we can, we had different kind of workshop. After this workshop, the Ose le français, then we'll take you to excursions. So it can be museum visits, but it can be also playing soccer, cooking class that was really popular. What was your favorite one, Robin?
So I know you said earlier that the museums weren't that popular, but I actually really liked the museums. So I really liked, we went to this one museum called Musee De l'homme, or De l'homme, yeah. So like it's Museum of the Man, and it kind of went through the history of how humans evolved and how human cultures evolved. It was very cool. And it was very interactive. We got to leave a little message at the end in French about what we thought the future for humanity looked like, and then they played it on this big TV screen, it was really cool. But I really liked the cooking classes. I thought they were good. I liked when we got to go outside and like explore and stuff. Arc de Triomphe was very cool. We got to learn a lot about history there too. All the excursions are fun. You'll like every single day you will have fun. There aren't any boring excursions. It's the truth.
So, what we try to do when we build this program is to give the students what they expect from Paris. So we start with kind of typical activity that people will do when they come to Paris for the first time. And then we try to progress a bit and give them another sense of how the city works today, what the people consume as leisure activities. So that's usually quite complete. So thank you, Robin. And the Musée De L'homme is actually my favorite museum in Paris too.
Nice.
Simin, I see that you're asking a question about roommate. Again, if it's up to the housing form that you're about to complete when you will enroll, give us your preference and we'll try our best to match you with someone with your style, sleeping habits. And if you already know someone, you can also express this will, but also make sure that this other person expresses the same will, because we only place people together when both people expressed it. Everybody's staying with the host family. Indeed, that's part of the program because that's an immersive program. So after the museum or the fun cultural activity, Robin mentioned it, you have a free time, and after the free time, you have to go back home, and you have to and you are invited to have dinner with your host, and then you spend your evening with your host. So sometimes hosts want to take the students to restaurants, sometimes they want to stay at home and watch a bit of French TV. What was your homestay actually like? Have you been eating outside, inside?
So for me, I was really lucky to get along extremely well, like personality wise, with my host family. Like we were very, very similar. I stayed with just like a single woman who had 2 older children, and then I had one roommate who was 15. So I was 18, she was 15, and then we had the older woman, and she was an amazing cook, very good conversationalist, super funny. And even if you aren't like the exact same personality as your host mom, like I was, you will still learn a lot from living with someone who speaks exclusively in French. It's a really good way to like practice what you learned in class and like apply all of the French that you've been learning for years and years to like your actual life, like to actually speak French. And also your host like family becomes like a family. I think it's part of French culture, much more than American culture, that once you welcome someone into your home, you make them a meal. Like that is a very like close gesture to have. So me and my host mom, we still like keep contacts. We like after the program ended, we like exchanged phone numbers, and we're still chit chatting every once in a while. She'll send me photos of when she goes to like our favorite restaurant, stuff like that. But there is nothing to be afraid of about the host families, because CIE does a really good job of vetting to make sure that all the host families are reliable people, they're good houses, and you're in a safe place. But it is still a really independent thing. Like at the end of the day, you're out by yourself in the city alone, and then at night you come home to your host family. So they're not there, walking you to class every day. Yeah, so it's independent, but you're still very supportive.
You need to be paid for saying that, Robin. That's wonderful. We did not even discuss this. Oh my God, thank you for everything you said about the team. Linda worked really hard on placing the students, and we make sure that we follow up with the students if they need a couple of days to adapt. But at the end of the homestay that work with us, they work with us for quite a long time. So we know they're good, and sometimes if it's just a personality, not good match, then we try to adapt.
I see
Robin,
that
you have a question from Enya about did your host family speak any English?
So I was placed with someone who spoke a little bit of English, but not enough that if I spoke no French, that we could get by. So I ended up only speaking in French, really. But when there was a word that we didn't know, she would try to say it to me in English. And then I would be like, maybe not that word. It's like usually not quite an exact translation. And then we'd go back and forth in English and French. So there was a little bit of English. And also Google Translate is really helpful, especially during the first like week or so when you're still getting to know each other. But it's like a very quick, like I would say like learning curve, where at first the first night, it's probably the hardest, where you're not sure how to communicate. You're a little scared. You're like, oh, is this person not understanding what I'm saying? Like half the things that they're saying, I'm not getting. But then by the end of the second week, you like are good. Like you can understand what they're saying. They will speak to you in a way that they know you will understand, and when you speak, they'll be able to understand too. So it's not as scary as it seems. But I think most of the host families, they probably speak a little bit of English, but not a ton of English. If that helps your question.
Then you will be surprised, because you will find out that you have strategy that you can use with your body. Actually, with Google, you can translate for the minimum, and it's just another way to interact with someone, when you are limited by the language. And it's really an experience of humility. You will have to, and this is what I take the most from studying abroad, because then you will realize that yes, you can travel to Paris, but you can travel everywhere, because you develop these skills. So I really think that studying abroad as an high school student is clearly a springboard to give you this taste of travel. And that's wonderful, because that's really eye-opening, Question about the language. Is there a prerequisite? I think we do have a beginner level in Paris, Robin, right? I just need to think. It should be on the webpage of CIE high school program to see if there is, but I see that your students taking 1 year of French, and we do have a beginner level. So it can definitely, we had students who just started to learn French last summer. And yes, they had maybe they needed a bit more time to adapt. And that's actually when we usually place the students with families that can speak a bit more English, even though that's not the point, they still need to be immersed. Regarding
I have a little anecdote about this. So I was placed with someone who was a freshman in high school who would, or I guess an incoming sophomore, who had only ever taken 1 year French. And she, at first, it was kind of hard for her, but she was placed with me, who was a senior in high school and who had taken like a million years. So I would like help her translate between the host mom and her. And then by the end of it, she was totally competent and could do it on her own. So I would say for your student, like it's definitely doable. And CIE will definitely provide enough support that they're not going to be like floundering or feel like they're on their own. Yeah.
There is such a big difference between learning a language in school and learning a language in the country, because you feel it's a necessity. You don't need to get motivated, you get into it. And then you've got students that were not really big fan of French before, and then they come to Paris and you see them with like books trying to see, okay, what can I say? What can I do? That's that, you know, and actually it makes sense, you know, it illustrates why we need to speak languages. So that makes things easy for us. When it comes to the program details, the program is made of 4 weeks, 4 full weeks. And when it comes to the flight, I think that CAE is going to secure a couple of flights, different flights, so that people from different parts of the US can book it. And then they will be under the watch of the group leader. So they will travel with American, it's usually a high school teacher that speak French, and they will travel with the student, with the high school students, from one airport to Paris. So that's, you know, you are accompanied from the airport to the airport on your way back to home, you know. So that's really a full supervision. It's quite a logistic, and it's 4 weeks. And actually, when it comes to the credits, yes, exactly, you can get some credits at university level. That's something that we highlight to the students when they come during the farewell, because some university accept the credits, and it goes from Tulane University. So 4 weeks, 15 hours of French per week. So that's a lot of contact hours of French. And indeed, oh, and I have, you know, you can all see the message that, I don't know, it's Deborah saying that in most of the flights, you might even have 2 group leaders accompanying the students. So really, they are supervised, they are monitored from the beginning to the end. So students will be placed in small groups. You know, it's not like a huge class of 30 students. It's going to be grouped between 10 and 15 and 16. Would you want to comment anything about the French class or something else, Robin?
I was just going to say that the flights are really easy. I had never flown internationally. I'd only flown once, like domestically, and I was really scared about the flights, but they make it really easy. It's like you all travel as a group together. If you have a connecting flight, you all travel to the connection together. And then there's someone waiting for you at the airport. And then a lot of that is done in English, and I think all of it is done in English. So there's nothing to be scared of with the flight, especially if like the kid is younger. But yeah.
The class is really well done. I used to teach French for foreigners before I started working for CAE, and the way they integrated, you know, all these different tools, interactive tools in the class, I think it makes it so exhausting to teach for the teacher. But when you're a student, you can't, you know, you always stay focused because you have things to do, activities to do all the time. I don't know, Robin, maybe you can comment this. You had class with Marie-Christine, right?
Yeah, so I had Marie-Christine and she was amazing. Something that I wanted to note, because I didn't know this before going, is that the language levels are like super broad. You can have people who, like I had someone in my class who was studying at the Sorbonne the following year, like very, very competent in French. And then there were people who were at lower levels who were speaking French for the first time. So there are 100%, there's 100% a place for you. And they are like, there's no like shame by like grade level. Everybody's friends with everybody. We all eat lunch together. So it's like if you go with a friend and you're in different language levels, it's like totally fine. But the class itself is very fun and engaging. In my level, I think it was level 3. I don't remember. I think level 3. We learned a lot about like idioms and like cool random French grammar things. We would talk about French culture a lot, very interesting stuff. And then those things that we talked about in class, we would see on the street. So like there's this word like truc, like I'm sure Jeping knows that word, but it's like, it just means thing. And I had no idea what that word was until I got to class. Then I heard that word in class and I started hearing it everywhere in France. So like walking on the street, I would hear every single person was using that word. And it's little things like that. So everything you learn in class, you will get to use like later in the day when you go out on the street in Paris and hear people using those words and see like the culture that you learned about. So it's very engaging, very interesting. And then you get to remember it because it actually is applicable to the world around you.
Thank you. So this activity, Oslo Français, now that the COVID, hopefully people get so vaccinated in France, so it should be fine and under control. Touch wood. But this workshop, it's right after lunch and before the afternoon outing. And so we try to give some assignments to the students so that they will be able to connect with locals. So we tried to establish a relationship last year with this nonprofit, and we had only 2 French students, but now we have really time to develop our connections so that we could, organize those activities with French high schooler as well. That's my goal. But if not, we'll find, companies maybe to visit. The goal will be that during that time, people communicate in French with local people. And so we already discussed the daily activity, cooking class, museum visits. It's clearly, Paris, has so much to offer. So that's really, we do have a large wide of activity to have. And we are going to communicate this as soon as possible. As soon as we decide for next summer what we are going to do, we'll tell you right away so that you can organize your free time also to visit what you always wanted to visit if it's not part of the program. What are some places you visited you think we shouldn't miss? Oh my God, so many places. Musée Rodin is one of my favorites. It's a sculpture, it's by the Eiffel Tower. It's a great museum. Parc des Buttes-Chaumont. It's in the northeast of Paris. It's a former quarry that has been turned into a beautiful park. And if you go there on Sunday afternoon in the summer, it's so packed. You have all the real Parisians having picnics. Let me think, because I have so many. Musée De L'homme, clearly, and you can see a picture of the Musée De L'homme in the bottom of the picture. So many actually, and even next year maybe we are going to have new places that will be really exciting. How many people are enrolled in the program? It's about between 40 and 55 per session, and we have 2 sessions of 4 weeks. Is the only option to stay with the host family? Indeed it is. It's an immersive program, and we cannot have high school students staying in independent housing for liability issue. Is there a limit of how many people can go each year? I don't think there is a limit, but it has been around 50 for many years. So what happened on weekends? That's going to be new also for you, Robin, because during COVID, we couldn't have any weekend trips. But you are going to spend 1 weekend with CIE. We're going to take you to Normandy. So it's going to be an organized weekend. We are going also to take you to a day trip, I think, in the Parc de Sceaux, in the close suburbs. And the rest of the weekend will be free, so you will be able to stay with a host family.
For us, we went to Monet's house, which was really cool, in Giverny, which was awesome. And we also went to the, oh my goodness, the big castle, the Chateau. Oh, why am I blanking on the name of it? Marie Antoinette's big house. Versailles. In Versailles, of course. So they have those 2 little trips, but then the rest of the weekends, honestly, you'll spend just hanging out with your host family and hanging out with your friends, because you'll meet a ton of people and make a lot of friends. And everybody's really eager to make friends. So you'll definitely make friends and hang out with people. And then also there is a couple homework assignments. So you might spend some of that time working on those, but they're not overwhelming. So don't worry about that. But yeah.
Yes, these kind of assignments are made for introvert people so that they can ask questions. It's feel legitimate to ask questions if you're a bit shy, because you have to for your class. So that's really well designed. And yes, of course, Brianna, all the families are checked. We do have police report for all the families. They will also be all vaccinated next summer, because it's part of a reciprocity. If we send vaccinated students, we have to have vaccinated family. So if a student is there for 1 session and they want to continue their time abroad, they can extend a second session somewhere else, but not in Paris, because the program will be repeated. I don't think it's possible, but that's something you should discuss with enrollment from the high school page online. I'm not really, I'm not really aware of that possibility. It was never the case in Paris. So that's why I believe it's not possible. And so if if you want to, if your students want to continue somewhere, you do have also different destination like CIA Rabat, where they also speak French. So that can be actually really great somehow. Exhausting though, because Robin, I'm sure after your 4 weeks, you must have been back home exhausted, right?
Yes, you definitely want to stay.
You
But
want to stay.
yeah, so I also just put in the chat that the host families are really safe. Nobody, the entire time that I was in France with my friends, nobody had like issues with their host family being
Because they've
unsafe or
been working
anything.
with us forever.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's just like a psychology match, you've got people who are really tidy and the students is a bit messy. And so we need to organize this kind of relation. Sometimes it's the opposite. Not really. It's most of the time the students, we need to clear them room. But at the end of the day, we didn't really face any major problem last summer. And I expect to work with the same family next summer. The program is 4 weeks. It doesn't, it lasts 4 weeks. For 1 session and 4 weeks, the second session. So if you cannot get in the first session, you can get in the second one. And then you should really discuss with enrollment if it's possible to stay for 2 sessions. But that's really a lot, huh? Knowing that you will have a full experience of immersion, this 15 hours of French per week, that's a lot, huh? That's a lot. The best would be to come to France and travel with your son or with your daughter for 2 more weeks. Do you have any question? I think it was great the way that you reacted to this presentation because the questions were coming connected to the different topics, but I would love to give you some time. Feel free to unmute yourself if you want. I hope you're excited about this program. Most of the time in the marketing field, people are usually saying it's a life-changing experience. But when you experience it, Robin, I think I'm right? That is a life-changing experience.
it definitely was. It changes a lot of your perspective, especially if you haven't ever left the country before. And it's a really safe and it feels very safe and secure. It's a safe and secure way to study abroad and leave the country for the first time. So, yeah.
And I don't think it's hard to get accepted to this program. You should really contact the people in charge of the enrollment within the team. I'm not part of this process, but it's all a question. You do have also some scholarships that can be available. You do have this savings if you go through the referral link.
Yeah, I would 100% recommend applying for scholarships. I was able to get the whole tuition paid for by scholarship, which was awesome. And a lot of my friends were able to do the same thing. So if you have like money issues but still want to go, apply. Definitely apply and apply early because I believe that the scholarships are rolling, but don't quote me on that.
I would love to guide you and to help you through the question of billing and so on, but I'm really not involved in that process. So I will definitely advise you to check the website, CIE High School Paris, and find the right contacts.
I also put in my referral link. So if you want to, you can use that link. And I think it benefits both you and I if you use this link. So I'm not sure.
Win-win.
Win-win. I think you get $200 off of your thing. So that's not a little, that's a lot of money. You should probably do it.
Wonderful. Robin, you are brilliant. I don't think I could have done this without you. And thank you so much for your time. And
of course,
I really thank you for your amazing questions. I cannot wait to, get your student in Paris and, share my love for my country and for my language.
I put my,
we'll have different.
I'm sorry. It's so hard with Zoom. It's like I'm not sure when to interject, but GP is an amazing program facilitator. He's awesome. any of the CIE programs, I recommend going to the Paris one because he is awesome and you'll make friends with him and all of the instructors you'll make friends with. And if you have any questions leading up to, or if we haven't sold you on it yet, I put like my Instagram. If you want, you can reach out to me there and just like DM me or something. And I can answer questions about that. I'll also put my email if that's more your thing. And I can answer more questions about it and give you like, you know, everything that I have to offer. So thank you guys.
Yeah. Robin, you made me blush, but I think people will start thinking you've been paid for this. Huh? She did that for free.
Jean-Philippe,
Thank you.
Jean-Philippe, I have a question. I have two students, they're twins, a boy and a girl. Would they house them together ever, or they'd be in separate families?
It's really up to their family and also to their will. We had a brother and sister last summer, and one mentioned that she wanted, I don't know if they wanted to stay with the other sibling, but the other one didn't express it. So we applied the same rules. You know, we need two students to mention that they want to stay together. If it's only one, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So you can tell them that when they fill out the housing form, they need to be explicit, and then we'll consider.
Okay. Yeah, I told their mother I didn't think they would house them together. It's, in my opinion, it's probably better not to be together, but you know.
I don't have a twin, so I cannot really say, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have this specific connection that we need to respect, you know.
Oh,
If they feel safe. At the end of the day, as long as they are out in the street of Paris to learn, interact, if this take seriously their French class, then, you know, if it's about feeling well, we can discuss and we can see how we can accommodate. The difference of gender might be problematic. That's something we need to discuss with the host, but that's some kind of detail we go through, you know, after, you know, when we start working on the housing. Okay. And we'll make sure everybody feel respected.
Okay. So Robin, you were there this past summer?
Say again?
Yep.
Oh, yes. Robin. You know Darcy Aiken.
I do know Darcy.
She was my student. Here.
Really? Oh my gosh. So I'm actually really close friends with her. I can say hello to her for you.
Yeah, she met with me when she came back, and she did say it was the best experience of her life, which I tell students too. But again, just like Juppé, I'm, you know, a program leader, teacher, and not a kid, but you know, you experienced it. It really is special.
Yeah, I don't know how to persuade you guys else to do this program, but besides by saying that there is nothing else like it. Like I have other friends who have studied abroad through other programs, and it doesn't come close to this experience. You feel very safe, you learn a lot, you have fun, and there's a lot of resources for you if it's too expensive or too scary. Yeah, and it's Paris. It's Paris, so yeah.
Yeah,
it has a reputation, and you know, it also comes for a reason. This city is amazing, clearly. Thanks for your attention. Again, merci beaucoup, Robin. C'était super. Merci pour ta participation. And clearly, I really hope that you are going to send your son, your daughter, or that you are going to come and study with us. Take care, you all, et à très bientôt. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Oh, someone asked a question. They said, Dina said, oh, was that Dina? Oh, maybe this was a long time ago. Never mind. Someone said,
we tried to respect. I tried to follow up, and I think I.
Is Toby still here? Oh, Toby left. Never mind.
No, it's all good. Hey, merci beaucoup, Robin. I have to go.
Of course.
So late now. It's time to sleep.
Oh, yeah. It's time for you to go to bed. It's almost time for me to go back to class. So.
Allez, salut, à très bientôt, Robin. We keep in touch, right? And Debbie, see you soon. Bye.
Bien sûr. Okay. Good night. Good night.
Hey, Robin.
Yes.
Real quick. Sorry. Your link takes you back to like a generic application page.
Oh no.
Is that correct? Is that what it's supposed to do?
So I'm not sure because on my end it says my unique referral link. So perhaps I'm not using I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. My email address you can also use, which is the one that I gave, which is
Right. Okay. Yeah. It just takes you back to the CIEE My Account generic landing page.
okay.
So
Maybe
just
the best would
as
be
an
when you
FYI.
maybe the best would be when
Thank
you
you.
enroll, you mention this referral by Robin Berger, and I think they will be able to fix it for you.
Okay, awesome. So go ahead and do that and save some money.
Allez, au
Thanks
revoir,
so much.
Tessa.
Have a nice day. Do you guys have any more questions? Oh, Graciela. So you can use my email address or just mention my name, which
Oh.
is, yeah, Robin Berger. Sorry, we just our technical difficulties, but
No, I closed the window and then I saw that my daughter has to do the paperwork. So I closed it and then I couldn't find the link anymore. But so I just mentioned your name.
that,
Okay,
yeah,
that'd
I
be
think
enough.
so.
Okay,
That
great.
would be enough.
Okay,
Okay.
Good luck.
My daughter has 1 year of French and she's 15. So it would be okay for her, right?
Yeah.
She's just worried that she doesn't know French well enough.
a lot of the people that I was with thought that at first, and then by the end of it, they were like, I'm so glad I came. I had no idea how much I knew, that kind of thing. And you learn a lot very quickly while you're there. So I would say 1 year of French is good. JP, I don't know. Yeah.
I agree. I think our professors are amazing at teaching the base as soon as the students arrive. And also they will be in a cohort of American students. So yes, they have a pledge where they're supposed to speak English all the time, but we will not,
Well, actually, she's going to have 2 years because it's going to be at the end of this year. So it's 2.
No, that will do.
Yeah.
And they are going to go back transformed with like so much progress because they will understand why it's important to speak,
Yeah.
Grammatical
Now
exercise.
it sounds really amazing. And it starts the first session is in June.
Yes.
It starts do you remember the date? I'm sure I can find this information, but just
yes, it's on the website right now.
Okay.
I'm so focused on spring and the return of the activity. So I'm, all dates, it's just too much for me.
Yeah. No worries.
It's really available on the website.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Good luck. You're
Okay,
welcome.
thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Is anyone that's left, do any of you have any questions? Or just...
I think we reached the end. Merci beaucoup, Robin.
Of course. It's so
Allez.
nice to see your face and hear your voice.
And don't hesitate to give updates and send messages, right? We keep in touch.
Okay, I will.
Allez, bye bye. Salut.
Okay, bye-bye, salut.